Linguistic reframes are a fantastic tool to obliterate people's limiting beliefs, to obliterate people's inhibitions. For example, let's say you have a friend and you're trying to get the friend to do something that you know is in their best interests, but part of them is a little hesitant. If you can elicit the reason they don't want to follow through, if you can elicit their insecurity and get them to articulate that or help them to articulate that, bam, then you can destroy it with some linguistic reframes. They can charge on ahead into their happy future and you can both live happily ever after. Or if you have a significant other or a spouse or a partner and there's some kind of problem, if you can elicit the belief that's underlying the problem and help them to articulate that belief, you can, poof, destroy it with linguistic reframes and live happily ever after. Or if you have some friends and you just want to scramble their brains just for fun because you have nothing else to do and there's nothing good on Netflix, you can elicit their most cherished beliefs about politics, about religion, about their sense of self, and destroy their beliefs with linguistic reframes and turn their brain into overbaked silly putty. Or if you're selling things and you have a customer that's 90% sure they want to buy something and 10% not quite sure, if you can help them to elicit the underlying reasons beneath this reason not to buy this thing, you can turn them into a happy customer after you obliterate their objections with linguistic reframes. But there's some areas where linguistic reframes don't really work that well, because linguistic reframes operate on the surface level. They operate on the language level. So if you have a deep belief that's not congruently expressed on the language level, then linguistic reframes won't work. For example, let's say you're talking to a customer and you're selling something, and they say, yeah, I'd like to buy this thing, but there's this one problem. And if this one problem is an honestly described problem, if this one problem is an honestly or genuinely or congruently articulated problem, you can destroy it with a linguistic reframe and they'll live happily ever after. But sometimes a customer is just not feeling it. And this objection is really not an honest objection. It's not really a true objection. They're just throwing out this objection to hopefully end the conversation. But even so, you can still sell things to these people, but it's not a very nice way to do it, because if they say the objection, let's say, and they say, I'd like to buy this, but objection. And you say, well, if I got rid of this objection, would you buy the thing? They might say, oh yeah, I totally would. But they might not really mean that. That might be just a way for them to get out of the conversation, because they probably don't think the objection could be overcome when they say they would buy it if the objection was taken away. This is why a lot of salespeople say that buyers are liars. They'll say things they don't really mean just to get out of the conversation. But even still, if you can get them to commit to the idea that you'd like to buy this, but objection, if I got rid of the objection, would you buy this thing? They'll say, yeah. Even if they're not being honest, once you, poof, make the objection destroy with linguistic reframes, they're kind of stuck, because now they've committed to doing something if you got rid of the objection, and you've gotten rid of the objection, so now they kind of have to buy the product. They've kind of boxed themselves into a corner, so they're not going to have a really, really happy feeling. So how do you avoid this? How do you avoid a situation? How do you pre-frame the situation so you don't get these false objections that you can't really do anything with, even though you have a master class, master skill, master ability in linguistic reframes? Well, the answer is to pre-frame. The answer is that the best defense is a good offense. And that is to build the conversation from the beginning so these false objections don't come up in the first place. So how do you do this? How do you build the conversation from the beginning so these false objections don't come up? Well, the first thing you do is to start off putting them in hypothetical land, putting them in a mind space where they don't feel any pressure that they're going to be told to buy the thing, and get them to imagine an ideal future. You can say something like this. Look, Mr. Customer, you might buy the product today. You might buy this next week or next month. You might buy it from me. You might buy it from somebody else. Let's imagine now that you have the product a month or two in the future and you're on the other side of whatever things you need to do to get the product. What is that like? And get them to imagine beyond any right now sales pressure. by saying maybe for me, maybe from somebody else, maybe now, maybe later. So they're not really focused on he's pressuring me to buy something. And get them in that future state, that future ideal state, and ask these two questions, or two question categories. The first question is, as you imagine that product in the future, what problems have you been able to get rid of completely? And then talk about this for as long as you can. The second category of questions is, as you imagine yourself in that ideal future where you have this product, what good things do you have? What benefits do you have? And talk about this as long as you can. And while you're talking about these two ideas, pay close attention to the language they use. Pay close attention to the words and the phrases that they use. Pay close attention to the energy they put into the words and the language and the phrases that they use. And remember that, so that when later you present the product, or you say, hey, what do you think about this? You can use their own phrases. You can use their own words. You can use their own language to describe your product. These two categories are a gold mine of information, and it will build up such a big desire inside them that will obliterate any of those false late-minute objections, those last-minute resistance objections, which are maybe not really true. That will build so much desire inside of them that will obliterate objections from the inside out. And that is the power of building desire. To step one, put them in the hypothetical future. Step two, build what it's like to have all their problems solved. Step three, build what it's like to have all their desires satisfied in that future. And the more you do these things, the easier you'll be able to sell anything to anybody. The easier you'll be able to get other people to do whatever you want, no matter who they are, no matter why you want to get them to do those things. When you build people's desires, they will have a massive internal desire compulsion to do whatever you want. Sadly, most salespeople, because they're tied into their ego, will never realize how powerful it is to build future desire states and use those future desire states to get them to do whatever you want. And the more you do this, the easier it will become. And because you can imagine the situation in the past, because you can uniquely understand how to do this, maybe more so than most, this will help you to become even more persuasive than you are right now. Few things are more powerful, few things are more elegant, few things are more persuasive than building people's future desire states and get them to overcome their objections from the inside out. As you do this, this will lead to a lot easier sales. And it's not just about making an easy six-figure income working only 20 hours a week. This is all about how to have fantastic conversations with other people, regardless of who they are, regardless of how long you've known them. Once you begin to realize how incredibly powerful and elegant this system is, this process is, you'll wonder why you didn't discover it before, because it is so natural inside your brain already. It already exists inside your brain because this is how humans are programmed to communicate, to talk about desires, to talk about future problem-solving ideas, to talk about what we want in the future. And so if you just turn off your ego and build up their desires from the inside out and leverage them like crazy, you can get anybody to do anything. Few things are as comparatively powerful as using this technique. People that make 6 figures, 7 figures in sales, working only 10, 20 hours a week, have been using this technique for a long time. And the more you practice this, the more you'll be able to do this. So practice this with your friends. Understand how you can realize with your friends, how you can use these techniques to make people frothing at the mouth, compelled from an internal standpoint to do whatever you want. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to learn how to do this so you can become as persuasive as you'd like to be, so you can become as seductive as you'd like to be, please check out the links below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.